So, all of you wonderful folks wanted an Alien chapter concept next, and that is exactly what I am bringing you. Over the past month, I have designed what a Dead by Daylight cross with Alien chapter may look like, and I have designed everything from the Survivor to the Killer, the Survivor perks, the Killer's perks, and all of the add-ons that the Xenomorph would be able to use as well. So today we're going to go through it, and to kind of see what an Alien chapter could possibly look like in Dead by Daylight. So, let's waste no time and let's get straight into it. Now let's begin with the Survivor. The Survivor, of course, would have to be nobody else other than Lieutenant First Class Ellen Louise Ripley, the absolute main protagonist for the Alien, the most recognisable female protagonist in probably most sci-fi media, absolute icon, so of course it has to be her. Now, Ellen Ripley comes with 3 teachable perks. The first teachable perk is Recharged. Whenever you hit a good skill check, your item will refill by 4, 5 or 6%. However, if you hit a great skill check, your item will refill by 10, 11 or 12% and increases the chance of a skill check by 20%. The second is Boon Rehabilitated. Once activated, any survivor stood within its aura will recover from status effects 10, 20 or 30% faster. And finally, we have Newt's Beacon. Each time the obsession enters the dying state, gain a token. For every token gained, increases the healing speed on down survivors by 5, 10 and 15%. So the idea of her 3 teachable perks is helping survivors at their lowest point, helping survivors gather their strength ready for the next fight, and using the absolute most that they can out of the items that they bring into the trial. And very quickly, that is the end of Ellen Ripley's chapter. Of course, survivors are more or less just new skins and new teachables, so there isn't much more we can really discuss about her. However, now is the perfect time to move on to the new killer, the Xenomorph. A near perfect specimen ready to tear the survivors to shreds. The Xenomorph's power is called Hive Mind. The first aspect to its power is the special ability Egg Summon. Press and hold M2 to spawn an egg. Once spawned, the next survivor that runs within 4 meters of said egg will cause it to hatch, releasing a facehugger and then disappearing. Survivors can destroy eggs by crouching up to them and setting them alight. And that moves nicely onto the next special enemy, the facehuggers. Once hatched, the facehugger will then spend 15 seconds chasing the survivor until it either dies or attaches to the survivor. If attached, the survivor will have to remove the facehugger and they will be afflicted with the Disoriented status effect, a new status effect included with this chapter. Disoriented reworks your key controls so that you are not able to run in a straight line without some significant difficulties. And if 4 facehuggers attach to the same survivor at any point in the trial, the survivor will then be instantly morted and will be kicked out of the trial. And then finally, the special attack is the Tail Strike. Even when your hands are busy, your deadliest weapon is still usable. Whenever the Xenomorph is in most animations, press M2 to strike your tail 4 meters in front of you, injuring survivors for 1 health states. Animations that this includes is stuff like vaulting, breaking pallets, and even picking up down survivors and carrying them to a hook. And of course, the Alien comes with 3 teachable perks as well. Now the first is Desolate Isolation. If survivors heal without another survivor being within at least 18, 16 or 14 meter radius of them, the survivor healing will scream, revealing their location and incapacitated for 10 seconds, before it then goes on a short cooldown. The next teachable perk is Perfect Specimen. This perk is triggered whenever you lose a token by any means. The consumed tokens will automatically recharge in 15 seconds. Once 1, 2 or 3 tokens have been restored, Perfect Specimen will go on a 90-second cooldown. And the last teachable perk is Hex Repelled Curse. All Hex totems appear dull until any Hex is destroyed. If a totem is blessed by a survivor, that survivor will have their aura revealed to you for 10, 15, 20 seconds, and they will be exposed for 45 seconds. And if a Hex is blessed, it will rekindle itself after 30 seconds, but only once per game. So the idea behind the Alien's 3 teachable perks is punishing survivors who dare to heal alone, making sure that you as the killer are at full strength as often as you can, and to also punish those who try to weaken you and strengthen themselves in the trial. Now, of course, please also just bear in mind that all of these are just my silly little creations. Of course, they will have their problems. They wouldn't be implemented in the ways that they are because people would have a horrible time. But they're just little ideas of what could happen, I guess, at some point. But please don't rip my head off. I'm trying my hardest, I swear. But now it is time to move on to the killer's add-ons. Now we are going to start, of course, with the commons. And here they are. So the 4 common add-ons that we have for the Xenomorph's Hive Mind Power. The first is Ripley's Hair, a clump of hair pulled from Ellen's head during a tussle, which increases the activation range of Summoned Egg by 1 meter, which makes it activate at 5 instead of 4. A fairly simple one. The next is Morning Cereal, food shared by a collection of future victims. Facehuggers will now have their aura shown in white for 3 seconds when they first emerge from an egg. So even though you know where the egg might be, you might not know what direction the facehuggers actually start chasing, what direction the survivors start running, so this is just to give you a little bit more information to know where they might have run. The next is the Flashlight Headset, a headset worn by those who wish to see in the dark, which increases the time facehuggers spend chasing survivors by 3 seconds, making it 18 seconds instead of 15, just to give that little extra boost to make sure that survivors are truly panicked. And the last of the common add-ons is the Drinking Bird, a thirsty plastic bird with a job to do, which reduces time it takes to summon an egg by 1 second. So when you place it, kind of like the charge period of placing one, it will be reduced by 1 second. Fairly straightforward, you know how the brown add-ons are in Dead by Daylight. Now, swiftly moving on to the uncommon add-ons. The first is Rappel Rope, a length of rope allowing access to lower parts of an alien ship, which reduces the missed attack cooldown of the tail strike by 1 second. It's kind of similar to the Demogorgon. When you miss a shred, it gives you that little bit of extra recharge. Kind of like that, well, more or less exactly like that, but for the Xenomorph's tail strike when during an animation. The next is the Heavy Duty Wrench, a wrench used for removing locks from doors and beating androids, which increases movement speed of facehuggers by 15%. So I'm not too sure what the actual speed would be of a facehugger, but whatever it is, this one would increase it by 15%, making them that little bit faster and that little bit harder to escape. After that, we have the Blue Sweatband, a blue sweatband worn by one of the victims of the Nostromo. Now, survivors with a facehugger attached will now suffer from the hindered status effect, and the effect will linger for 15 seconds after removing a facehugger. So not only would they be disoriented and not be able to really run in a straight line with ease, this would also make them hindered so that they actually run a little bit slower. After that, we have the Folded Magazine, a rolled up magazine nearly responsible for the death of Ellen Ripley. This one increases the spawn time of facehuggers by 1 second, so when a facehugger actually emerges from the shell, this one just makes it happen 1 second faster. Another quite fairly straightforward one. And finally, for the uncommon add-ons, we have the Damage Schematics. Schematics to make some form of weapon ripped to shreds. This one increases the amount of eggs that the alien can summon by 1. Another fairly simple one. Now, of course, we have the rare add-ons. The rare add-ons begin with the Proximity Scanner, a tool used to see life forms around you. Facehuggers now cause survivors to drop their items when attached. So if a survivor's carrying a torch, gets attacked by a facehugger, say goodbye to the torch. It's pretty simple again. But we are moving on to Jonesy's Collar, the collar of an adorable ginger cat, which increases the amount of eggs the Xenomorph can place by 2. Another very simple one. I think I've gone a little bit simple, but still effective. I think in the purple and the iris is when I kind of go a little bit off the walls with these. But after that, we have the Blue Mist, a thick layer of mist surrounding fresh eggs. Summoned eggs will now hatch automatically after 30 seconds of them being placed, but reduces the amount of eggs carried by 1. Again, you may think this is really strong, but remember, if there's no survivors anywhere near the egg, it's just simply going to die and it's going to be a waste. So it's kind of like a little bit of a risk reward, and to make sure that it is definitely on the more balanced side, we reduce the amount of eggs by 1 as well. After that, we have the Homemade Pipe Bomb, a pipe bomb crudely put together with scraps, which increases the activation range of summoned eggs by 2.5 meters. Very similar to the brown add-on that does it by 1, this one just does it by 2.5 meters on top. And finally, for the rare add-ons, we have the M240 Incinerator Unit, a weapon used to keep aliens at a distance. This one increases the time required for survivors to burn an egg by 4 seconds. So again, just increasing how long it actually takes for survivors to burn the eggs, should they be able to get close enough. And now we're nearly done. The very rare add-ons are next, and the first is Ash's Head, the milky head of a recently decapitated android. Survivors that now disturb the summoned eggs will be exhausted for 5 seconds. So again, this is kind of like a little bit of a counter to Sprint Burst, which would be really good in dealing with these eggs, but if the alien manages to push survivors into the eggs mid-chase, they would have to worry about the Xenomorph, the Facehugger, and now being exhausted until they more or less get away. I think this would be a really fun little add-on. And after that we have the Harpoon Gun, the weapon used to rid the ship of an alien infestation. This one removes survivors' ability to destroy summon eggs, but decreases the amount of summonable eggs by 1. So survivors can no longer destroy them no matter what they do, but the alien does get to place a 1 fewer because of that. Thirdly, we have the Engineer's Cloak, the cloak worn by one of the oldest beings in existence, which now facehuggers will be able to attach to survivors hiding in lockers. So this is like the anti-Victor strat that the twins do. Obviously, if survivors hop into lockers, the facehuggers probably would just die naturally, leave them alone, but with this perk, there is no chance of that happening. It will then instead jump on the locker, scurry in through the little holes at the top, attach, and the survivor would then have to deal with them. So this just kind of gets rid of the locker play that survivors would be able to do. And finally, for the very rare add-ons, we have the Empty Suit, a dusty and old suit used for spacewalks, which would increase the range of the tail strike by 1 meter. So obviously 4 meters is what I classed as its base. This one would increase it so that you could potentially get some really nice shots on survivors when they least expect it. And now that's out of the way, it is time to finally get to our iridescent add-ons. The 2 iridescent add-ons are Kane's Chest Burster. The first chest burster erupted from the chest of an unfortunate victim. Facehuggers will now put injured survivors into the dying state. Another very simple one, but if an injured survivor is unlucky enough to have a facehugger attach, it will now put them into the dying state when they remove the facehugger, which could be very strong. And finally, the very last one we have is the iridescent egg, an egg formed from the fog itself, its shell glistening with unimaginable power. This one makes it so that summoned eggs disturbed by survivors will now spawn 2 facehuggers, and it will increase facehuggers' chase time by 15 seconds, so it basically doubles how strong an egg can be. Not only will there be double the time that you have to chase, but 2 from 1, which will make it really, really dangerous for survivors. So again, bit overpowered, bit strong maybe, but that's exactly how I feel like iridescence should be. And there we are, folks, that is it. I really hope you enjoyed, and I really hope you was able to kind of picture this happening, even if it was just for a couple of minutes, on what the alien chapter could be like in Dead by Daylight if it was to ever exist. I sure hope it does. I would love, love, love an alien chapter in Dead by Daylight, because this one was just so much fun to work on, and I adore the Alien series. But speaking of series, the vote for the next chapter that I create is in my Discord, so no obligation of course, but if you want to help dictate what chapter I create the concept for next, the 3 options are The Evil Within, Outlast and Bioshock, with Bioshock currently winning. If you want to agree to that or disagree and have somebody else rise up, feel free to join the Discord, look into questions and place your votes. It would be lovely to have you. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. I honestly spent about a month working on all of these. I had so much fun, but my lord, it took me a while. So I would really appreciate you liking and subscribing for more. And of course as well, don't forget to follow me on Twitch. I'm live 4 days a week for mostly Dead by Daylight, so feel free to come hang out and chill, ask any questions, do what you want. I'm just saying, the options are there. Thank you all so much though for watching. I really do appreciate it. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and I will see you all in the next one. So take care guys, bye bye for now.